These children are aged 7, 6 and 4 years. We met them on Thursday morning in Mairikiti village, Kasangat Town Council in Wakiso district, helping their father to make bricks. 38-year-old Godfrey Luesi is their father, whose wife died in 2022, and since then, he has assumed an extra responsibility of mothering the 3 sons. Luesi was diagnosed with a defect on his liver. Making bricks is against the doctor's recommendations.
I
was diagnosed with liver complications. The doctors recommended that I should avoid rigorous activities, but I have no alternative means of survival without working.
Due to his frail health, Luesi relies on his 3 sons, especially the 7-year-old Jordan Sempija, to load and push mud on a wheelbarrow to make bricks.
We help him fetch water, mix and push mud on a wheelbarrow. This is the source of income for us to pay school fees.
In the absence of my children, I can make only 400 bricks a day. But with their help, I make between 700 to 800 bricks. On a day we start very early, around 6 a.m. We can make 1,000 bricks a day.
This is the only source of income for Luesi, from which he derives food and tuition for his sons. The boy's father determines the days in a week that his sons should go to school and when to start home to make bricks. Luesi then usually allows his sons to take a rest when he feels they are exhausted. According to Sempija, their day begins at 7 a.m. and they start to work on an empty stomach up to 1 p.m. when they get a lunch break before they resume in the evening.
We woke up at 7 a.m. and we did not take breakfast. It is now 10 a.m. and I am hungry, but we have to wait until 1 p.m. when we go back home for our father to prepare lunch.
We spare some time and go back home to prepare lunch. We eat our lunch at around 3 p.m. and return.
There is no nearby UPE school in the area, so Luesi struggles to provide a farm education foundation for his sons, who he hopes will make it to at least O-level. At Willow Nursery and Primary School in Mairikiti, where Luesi's sons sporadically attend school, the head teacher Aaron Chigozi says the poverty of most parents in the area is distressing.
I told the father, just bring them at school. Anything that you find, you just bring. So once in a while he gets 2,000, 3,000, and then he brings at school. However, he makes bricks, but he's making in losses. He cannot sell them and get profits. So at the end of that time, you find him that having nothing, 50,000 or 70, that cannot even sustain them for 2 weeks. That man who lays bricks has 3 children, but he has one in baby class. He's 4 years. So this time, I saw him with a sweater. He always tightens his sweater alongside his stomach. So when I asked him all the time, why do you have this sweater? He says, at home we do not eat because dad cannot afford food. So he ties this sweater so tightly so that I may not die of hunger.
Luesi is just a small fraction of many Ugandan families that struggle to provide a comfortable life for their children's education. Florence Nakate hawks greens in the village with her 5 children to raise their school fees.
Sometimes I send them to school. When they return, I give them greens to hawk around the village. I don't like it, but the situation forces me to do it.
As this year's Day of the African Child is commemorated, Dr. Goreti Nakavugo, the Executive Director, Uwezo Uganda, indicates that the percentage of school-going children who are not in school is concerning.
With the introduction of universal primary education, we would expect that all children are able to take advantage of that, or the parents taking advantage of that and sending their children to school. But having about 9% out of school, that means you still have those children, both boys and girls, who are not benefiting from the opportunities that education has to offer.
In addition, the completion rate is also worrying, while the gender gap is also widening in favor of girls, causing more concern in the battle to achieve an equitable education for all.
Every 100 children who enroll, you have about only 54% girls completing the entire primary education cycle, and about like 52% boys completing. That has somehow reversed. If we talk about 2,000 for every 100 boys enrolling, 100 children enrolling in school, you had about like 67% boys enrolling and only 58%. So the gender gap was wide in favor of boys, but now it is kind of widening in favor of girls and kind of disadvantaging the boys, which is, the thing is, yes, we should ensure that all children, boys and girls, are going to school.
Dr. Nakabugo is also concerned that very few children are able to read and understand a simple text or do a simple arithmetic.
One would expect that by the end of 3 years, primary 1, 2, 3, by primary 3 they should be able to read really fluently and understand a simple text. But even when you give them a primary 2 level text, you find that only like 10% of those children are able to read and comprehend.
When we come to the UPE schools and USE schools, this is where now there is an issue. There is infrastructure. We need to praise the government for this, thank the government for this. But the kind of learning that is happening there is questionable. Because these so-called schools in the city, they are known for grades, but not necessarily the quality of education. When we talk about quality of education, we go beyond academic performance, the grades. We look into the social-emotional learning. We look into the life skills, the social-emotional issues. How are children prepared to cope with life after school? For me, this is what I look at. And I think
Together with other educationists, Dr. Nakabugo has advocated for campaigns to ensure parents and children get to see more value in pursuing education to reduce on dropouts in favor of work and early marriages.
It is really very possible that you have a number of communities or parents who actually don't see the value. Even children themselves, if for example they've gone into school and 5 years, 6 years they are there, they can't learn how to read. So maybe at that time they saw that going into work would give them quicker benefits than continuing. So the campaigns to project and ensure that everybody knows that actually the best value that parents can give to their children is education, but also the children to ensure that, to know that for them to secure a sustainable future, education is really the key. So we need to do that.
But educationists are concerned at the government's role.
Budgetary allocation to education is still very, very minimal. Reason being because most of our leaders have not yet appreciated the concept of education.
According to the research conducted by the Uganda Housing Survey in 2019-2020, incidences of child labor increased during the COVID-19 pandemic from 21% to 36%. In a worst situation, a report by the United Nations Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, indicated that even when schools reopened in 2022, 1 in 10 school-going children did not report back to school. Patrick Senyondo, NTV.